All right, 20-3. We are now on to chapter 2.3, which is histograms. So histograms is very similar to bar graphs, okay? Now, what's the main difference, okay? If we look back at our bar graphs, okay, you're going to notice that we're talking about different categories, okay? When you're talking about different categories, you obviously have to separate the bars, okay, because they're talking about two different things. That being said, it's a little different with histograms. Histograms is a continuous data. So that's what you can read here. So as we can see here, we're talking about time, which is the same category, and time goes on. Okay, it's not like it's a different category or anything like that. So if we read here, this is the airplane scheduled to arrive to Calgary. So we have our airplanes. Now, a bar graph's probably a good idea to use here because can you have half an airplane? No. So a line graph doesn't make sense to use this, okay? The line graph doesn't make sense, so we want to use bar graph since this is discrete data, but we're talking about it in terms of a continuous time, okay? Continuous data. So we can, all you got to do with histograms is you just got to make sure that there is no space in between the bars, okay? Again, if we go back here, and we look at our bar graph, there's obvious spacing between our bars. Histograms, there is no spacing, okay, because it's continuous. So you can obviously get things here and analyze the graphs. So let's do a few questions together. So number 2, an internet service provider surveyed some of the customers across Canada to find out how much time people spend on the internet each week. The following histogram shows the results. So you can recognize here that we have the number of people, okay, and we have hours. Now recognize this is continuous data. You just go from 1 hour to the next hour to the next hour, okay? Recognize they grouped people together, okay? They grouped 0 to 5 hours, and those people are going to be put in the same group. So if you're a person who watches 2 hours of internet time, you're going to be grouped in with the people who also watch 4 hours of internet time, okay? So they have grouped people here, which is okay. Sometimes grouping is really useful because really does 4 hours, is that a very different compared to, let's say, 3 hours over the span of a week? Not really. So you may as well group them. Now, how do we analyze this? How many people spend between 10 and 15 hours each week? If they spend between 10 to 15 hours, we're talking about this bar, okay? So that bar is roughly 3,800. Okay, so that's 3,800 people. Okay, so that's between 10 and 15 hours. How about B? How many people spend less than 15 hours on the internet each week? So that's less than 15 hours of people. Now recognize that's going to include everyone in this bar, in this bar, and in this bar, because these people spend less than 15 hours a week. So we have to add up these. So here we have 1,000, which is from 0 to 5 hours, plus we have, this is roughly, I would say 1,500, plus 4,000. Okay, and 4,000 I got from the people that spend 10 to 15 hours each week. So this is 0 to 5 hours. This is 5 to 10 hours. This is 10 to 15 hours. So 1,000 plus 1,500 plus 4,000, that's going to give me 6,500. You can see I'm off by a little bit of about 200, but again, you're estimating this one. Okay, you're roughly estimating. Should I maybe have gone a little higher? Sure, but 6,500 is not super off compared to 6,700. There is a little bit of leeway when doing these graph questions, okay? A little bit of wiggle room. On to C. Okay, let's read C here together. How many people spend more than 30 hours on the internet each week? So in this case, 30 or more hours. That means we are focusing on this graph here, okay, this bar. Let's see where that bar lines up, okay? So if we try and draw a line here, okay, it looks like it's about 2,600, okay? 2,600 hours. So we have 2,600 hours there. Now finally, approximately how many people were surveyed? So how many people were surveyed in this entire collection? Well, we have to add up all the people in this survey. So we already have 6,500 up to this point. We have here, we have there, not hours, this should be people. How many people? Okay, so we just have to add up the remaining here and then add the 2. The remaining, well, this is roughly 5,000. This is 4,800. And this guy here is roughly 3,700. So I'm going to take my answer from B, which is the people from 0 to 15 hours, so 6,500, plus all 3 of these, so 5,000 plus 4,800 plus 3,700, and then add our final here, which was 2,600. Okay, and then we got to pull up our calculator here. So I'm going to have to exit this, grab my calculator, do this guy here. Okay, so pretty nifty, huh? And what I'm also going to do is bring it to the side. So I'm going to clear this, 6,500 plus 5,000 plus 4,800 plus 3,700 plus 2,600. That gives me 22,600. And you can see I was about 100 off of whoever got this answer, but that's okay because we're going to be estimating a little differently. As long as we're not like 1,000 off, 100 is pretty darn good. Okay, so I hope that was helpful for that question. Again, if something didn't make sense or was a little confusing, please just come ask. Make sure you rewatch if maybe you just misunderstood something, and it can be clarified pretty quickly on your own. Let's move on here. So you have to know how to graph these yourself. So let's go through it together. So remember, these age is usually going to be the bottom of your histogram, okay? Time will always be on the bottom. So here I'm going to put age. I'm going to give myself lots of room here. And they're also chunking things together, okay? Now, time is a continuous data. So that means we're going to make sure that these things are touching our bars. So here, my first group is going to be less than 20. Then I'm going to have 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59, 60 to 69, and then greater than 70. Okay. Now here, the number of people, again, look for the largest number you're going to deal with. The largest number I'm dealing with is 92. So I need my thing to probably go to 100, my scale to go to 100. And we're dealing with our lowest number of 21. So we may as well go up by 10. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Trying to know what the scale should be does take some practice, everyone. So please be aware of that. I need a title for my y-axis. So this is number of people. And what should my title of this entire graph be? My title is going to be ages of, I'm just going to use this title here, ages of audience members at the theater presentation. So ages of audience at theater presentation. So there is my title for this graph. Okay. Now, let's actually plot these points. So below 20, we have 35 people, which is roughly here. Remember, this is continuous, so I'm going to make these bars touch. From 20 to 29, we have 68 people. 68 people roughly goes there. Now, what's wrong with this picture? Well, what's wrong with it is this guy is way bigger in terms of lengthways than this guy. So I'm going to fix that a little bit because they technically should be about the same size. So what I'm going to do here is going to try and go kind of in the half. It's not going to be perfect, but it's pretty much there. Okay. Now, 30 to 39, there's 73 people, which is going to be roughly here. So I'm going to connect those. Okay. I'm going to move this over a little bit. There we go. Now 40 to 49. Let's move all of these over a little. Okay, there we go. 40 to 49. We have 92 people there. So this is definitely sort of the middle-aged audience for whatever this presentation's about. 50 to 59, you have 55 people, so roughly in the half. 60 to 69, you have 49, so pretty much the exact same, just a tiny bit lower. And then here we will graph 21. So again, recognize everything, I should give it the fact that this is in years as well. So since this is continuous data, they are all touching, okay? So I'll give you some time to, if you want, you can pause this video and copy this down. Let's move on to B though. So B asks, how many people under the age of 30 attended the presentation? Okay, so under the age of 30 is from here back, okay? How many people under 30? So remember, this represents 68 people, okay? This represents 35 people. I'm getting these numbers from here and here. So that means under the age of 30, I'm going to do 35 plus 68. 35 plus 68 gives me a nice 103 people. C, from the table, can you tell the age of the youngest audience member, why or why not? Can we tell the age of the youngest audience member? Not really. Okay, we don't know their exact age. We can't tell exact age because if we look here, all we know is that there were people less than 20 years old there. So all we can say is the youngest person was less than 20 years old. Okay, we don't know exactly, but all we do know is that they were less than 20 years old. Okay, so there is an example of how to draw a histogram and then extrapolate or interpolate different types of data. Okay, let's move on and see if, so number one here, you should give this one a shot. You should be able to do this at this point. Just recognize it's sort of the same. This is between 0 and 40%. This is between 0 and 50%, so on and so forth. So at this point, after those two examples, number one, you should understand. Again, if you are confused, please rewatch the video. And if things are just not clicking, please come in and ask questions. Okay. Number two, you should be able to give a shot on your own as well. And then number three as well. Okay, so there's 3 questions to try out on your own at this point. I hope that was really helpful, guys. And if you have any questions,